It's 10 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Reverend Ronnie Hankins with First Presbyterian Church, will you please come forward? If you'd please rise.
Let us pray. Eternal and precious God, we are so grateful to be here in this hour. And we ask that you would invoke your spirit in this chamber. Lord, whether it be the issues of zoning or renewal of contracts or purchase of irrigation supplies or whatever it may be, we ask that you would give us the wisdom, the imagination, and the foresight to move forward with the issues involving this great city. We are still only 5 weeks out from a great tragedy, and we ask your continued blessing and support as we try to press forward together as citizens of this city. And final favor we ask of you, Lord, please continue to surprise us with your grace and mercy, and we'll continue to praise you all the days of our lives. For it is in your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Reverend. This time, Councilmember Dean will lead us in the pledges.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
You may be seated. Darlene, come forward. Here she comes. We've got a proclamation. It's good to see you. For code enforcement officers. So it says City of Odessa proclamation. Whereas code enforcement officers provide for the safety, the health, and the welfare of citizens in the community throughout the United States through code enforcement of buildings, zoning, housing, animal control, fire safety, environmental, and other codes and ordinances. Code enforcement officers are dedicated, well-trained, and highly responsible individuals who take their jobs seriously, are proud of their local governments within which they serve, and are committed to improving neighborhoods in the course of their daily jobs. The City of Odessa honors our code enforcement officers for their contributions these individuals have made to the quality of our community, the accomplishments in making collective decisions concerning our city that bring meaning to our lives, and to recognize the dedication of code enforcement officers. And we recognize the many valuable contributions made by the code enforcement officers throughout our city and extend our heartfelt thanks for their continued commitment to the public service. Now, therefore, I, David R. Turner, by the virtue of authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Odessa, Texas, do hereby proclaim October 2019 as Code Enforcement Awareness Month. Throughout the city of Odessa, I urge all citizens to recognize the dedication and commitment to those who are working diligently to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. If you would, can we give the code officers a round of applause, please? Yes, you can have them whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
You're the boss.
Well, not today. If all of our code enforcements will stand up and come forward, please. Our director, Marita, and our supervisor, Oscar. First of all, we'd like to the mayor and to the council members and to each of you that are present today. It is indeed a privilege to be here to recognize some of the hardest working team members in the city of Odessa on this side of Texas as well. We are so grateful and we are thankful to each one of them for what they do every day. Code enforcement is such a rewarding experience experience. And as I look over the audience, we have another code enforcement officer, and we're going to ask her to come up here, Alma Angels, even though she's no longer with our department, but once a code enforcement officer, you're always a code enforcement officer. And to our director, Marita Sandoval, and to our city manager and our assistant city managers, wow, thank you for your support. Thank you for always being the wind beneath our wings. We love each one of you, and we thank the many departments that come in and join us and help us do what we do. We never would have made it without you. And so we ask for your continued support, monetary, whatever you want to do. We thank you. We thank you for everything, council, that you have done for us. And I'm going to try to name everybody. This is Alma Angels. As I said, she was with our department, but she moved on to keep Odessa beautiful. But she's still a code enforcement officer. Wave at him, Alma. This is Sarah. Sarah is one of our code enforcement officers. Y'all got to wave so they'll know who you are. Talitha. She's a code enforcement officer. Come on out, Angel. Angel like to stay in the background, but Angel is one of our code enforcement officers. Garrett is one of our code enforcement officers. Paul, I can't miss Paul. Okay. Paul and Elena is one of our code enforcement officers. Andrew, Oscar Ortega, he's the field supervisor. So if you have any problems, just give him a call or call the office and ask for Oscar. We have Tiffany, code enforcement officer, Arisa Young, Brown. Why did I say Young? I got a Young on my mind. Okay, Young at heart. Arisha, and we have Daphne. I'm not going to even try to call last names. We have Tina, and we have our wonderful, amazing boss that oversees community development as well as code enforcement, Marita Sandoval. And in the back with the GQ jacket on, we have the overseer of our department, Philip. I'm not going to even try to call his last name, but our assistant city manager, Philip. And we got Cindy that looks out for the money. And we got Michael Marrero, our city manager. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm the quiet one, yours truly, Darlene Mays, and I'm a code enforcement officer, but most of all, I'm the code, what am I'm the code education administrator, and as we take our seats, we just want to say thank you again, and we also want to let you know that we got an amazing event coming up this Saturday at Grace Christian Fellowship from 9 a.m. to noon. You don't want to miss it because it's going to be out of this world. We have amazing and wonderful and fantastic block parties. So come on out. We'll be at Grace Christian Fellowship. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
I just wished we could get her to come out of her shell. Okay, is there anything anybody would like to pull off the consent agenda?
Yes, I'd like to pull off G and H.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and second to remove those from the consent agenda. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we will entertain a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item G, consider accepting a donation from Occidental Petroleum Corporation for Odessa Fire and Rescue and appropriating the funds for the donation of this amount. Come on up.
We can't just put that, we just can't put that on the consent when
Yeah.
somebody gives us money so
Let y'all
generously.
discuss it together. and then we'll
Absolutely.
vote.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, good morning, Mayor, Council. Our agenda item is for the for the donation from Occidental Permian. And for Odessa Fire Rescue was for $20,000, so we're going to be able to purchase some training equipment for that. It'll allow us to put hands-on training as far as forcible entry doors. These are Brasky's doors that we're going to be purchasing, so it's going to be a good donation. As always, we're always thankful to Oxy for their donations and their support as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Chief Kirky?
The donation to the Odessa Police Department is for $15,000 from Occidental Petroleum. We will use that for realistic training aids. We will use that for submunitions and semi-live fire rounds for our shoot house.
Great.
This is the second year in a row that Oxy has done this for us. I want to bring that up also.
They're fantastic. Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor,
items G.
before you do that, I'm just curious if we have any representatives from Oxy here today?
I
No?
didn't see
Okay.
anybody. Okay. I will entertain a motion to approve G and H.
I would move that motion with much gratitude.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Chiefs. Next, we'll move to the public hearings. We will open a public hearing to consider the approval of the request by Temple Baptist Church owner and Maverick Engineering. Mr. Brindley.
Morning, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The city mailed out 3 notices related to this case. We did not receive any return notices, and we did not receive a response, positive or negative, related to this request. The property involved in the request is located northeast of the intersection of Highway 191, Billy Hext Road. This site is currently designated future development and also zoned multifamily 1, and this site is vacant. Land use in the area does consist of single-family residential development and retail commercial development. As stated, Temple Baptist Church is the owner of this property. Maverick Engineering is their agent. And the purpose of these various rezoning requests and original zoning requests is to align the zoning with the master plan for this area. This area is located on the eastern side of the City of Odessa's future land use map. It's near Crossroads Church. The proposed zonings is consistent with the comprehensive plan for the City of Odessa. The proposed land uses for this area is consistent with the identified city's priority of vibrant new neighborhoods and a diverse range of housing. The proposed original zonings and rezonings will facilitate the development of needed multifamily residential and affordable townhouse type dwellings in this area. The proposed retail zoning will facilitate the development of uses that's intended to support services such as restaurants, light retail, and things of this nature to the proposed residential development in this area. And it is an appropriate land use of property adjacent to a major thoroughfare, and in this case, Highway 191. And the proposed various zonings do not conflict with the land uses that's projected in the city's comprehensive plan. And the staff does recommend approval of this request, as does the City Planning and Zoning Commission. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Brindley? Okay, this is a public hearing, so at this time I will open up the floor for anyone who would like to comment on this agenda item. If you would, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Item 2, we'll open a public hearing to consider the approval of the request by Cage Properties. Mr. Brindley.
Yes, sir. The city mailed out 2 notices related to this request. They were not returned, and we did not have a response, positive or negative, related to this request. The property involved in the request is southwest of the intersection of Interstate 20 and Crane Avenue. Site is currently designated future development. It is vacant. Land use in the general area does consist of industrial and oil field development and vacant land. The applicant and property owner is Cage Properties, and the purpose of the original zoning request would facilitate industrial development on this property. It is a support service for oil field services. Land use in the area, as stated, does consist of industrial development. The proposed original zoning and land use is compatible with the existing adjacent land uses, and it would be an appropriate use of the land adjacent to Interstate 20. Planning and Zoning Commission did give unanimous approval to this request, and the planning staff does concur with this recommendation for approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Brindley? Okay, this is a public hearing, so at this time I will open the floor for anyone who would like to comment on this agenda item. If you would, please come forward. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We will go ahead and open up a public hearing to consider a resolution in support of municipal setting designations. Application by NL Industries. Atasi.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. So what we have here today is a
Is this the
MSD
same
municipal
one she
setting
gave us?
designation, and what that is it's an official state designation where TCEQ certifies groundwater under a property, stating that it cannot be used for potable purposes. It also states that this water cannot be used for potable purposes in the future as well. Now, today we have NL Industries and Golder, which is an environment consultant, here today to give you a little bit more specifics about the property. It is currently, the property at issue is 2120 and 2122 Maurice Road. The map that I just handed out, it's the 2 dots that's west of County Road. We actually have 5 other MSDs that this previous councils have approved, and those are the other dots that you see on that map. Now, we held a public meeting on September 19th, open to the public. We had members of the public there, members of the media. We also had our representatives from NL Industries as well as Golder available to take any of the citizens' questions and discuss the remediation project at that property. I'll have Kate and Shannon come up. That way they can discuss. I think they have a few maps to show you. And then what we are requesting is a motion for a motion approving the resolution in support of the MSD, and then as a result of that, a motion to amend our current ordinance or our current code, Article 613, to amend it to add in this designation, to add in this specific property location.
Okay.
Hi. We have a quick PowerPoint just to tell you a bit about our project and to see if you guys have any questions. The property has been used for various oil field service supply companies since the 1970s. It's been around really a long time. Soil and groundwater contamination occurs as a result of historic operations at the site. They had a pit where they buried some waste, which was standard in the 70s, and they had a septic system where contaminated water was also released to. When these areas were discovered in the 1990s as part of a property transaction, the source areas, the soil, and the septic area was removed and remediated. Soil was hauled off site, so the source areas for these contaminations are gone from the site. Groundwater was contaminated and has been sampled, and a remediation system was installed for a number of years. And at this point, the contamination in groundwater is very low, and the only risk to anyone would be for drinking the groundwater. That doesn't happen at these sites because the total dissolved solids, basically the salts in the groundwater, is too high for the water to be drinkable. The monitoring, we've done groundwater monitoring at this site since the mid-90s, so almost 30 years. We have a good understanding of where the groundwater contamination is. We know the direction of groundwater flow. We know that the plume is decreasing in size and that it's not moving off of the property. In a situation like this where no one's, the only exposure to the groundwater would be if someone were to drink it. The Texas law, the MSD, the municipal setting designation, is allowed to be used to close that exposure pathway, we call it. So it prevents this municipal setting designation, allows us to say that on this property, on this area, that no one can install a well for the purpose of using the water as potable water. Here's a map this topographic map shows where our property is within the city. I think we're just outside in the extrajudicial territory of the city. You can see from this map, this is a great one that shows that it's in a very industrial area. There's no residential property anywhere immediately nearby. So our next steps are to present you guys with our resolution. Then we will proceed with the TCQ application, which includes another notification to well owners, in addition to the one that was just done by the city as part of our of this application. That's all I have. If you guys have any questions?
Are there any questions?
I do. I just want you to explain something that's already been explained to us, just for everybody else. But there were people that were concerned about this, that this would contaminate the ground, the drinking water for the citizens of Odessa. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten very comfortable that that is not the case. Would you speak to that just a little bit, please?
Sure. I'm not sure I have a map, but the city of Odessa gets their drinking water from surface water sources that I think are not even in the county.
It's Lake Spence, Lake Ivy.
Right.
It's
yeah.
from Ward County.
Right. So, yeah. So surface water is used for your drinking water. It's not anywhere near our site. The contamination that is on our site is only in that property boundary. We've, like I said, we've been sampling for 30 years, and the groundwater only within this black outline is the only area that is affected. So no other groundwater sources are affected, or wells, and certainly not the city water.
And Councilwoman Dean, too, so our Odessa's water source comes from the Colorado River Municipal Water District, and so we actually have that water shipped in from Ward County.
Right.
And so citizens actually, within the city limits, we do not use any of the groundwater underneath it. We use it for non-potable purposes, such as our contract with Pioneer. However, for potable purpose, drinking, bathing, irrigation for human consumption, that's not being used.
Because basically we have the 3 lakes that we get water from. When those lakes go dry, we will use our well field in Ward County. That is far enough away that we do not have to need to worry about this, and that is only when the lakes dry up. We've been blessed with a lot of rain, so we are good for the next 30 to 40 years for water. But this cannot be contaminated by this little amount. And this is brine, which you're not going to be drinking anyway. Mm-hmm. So, any other questions or from the council?
Thank you. I just wanted that to be on the record.
I just have one thing. Looking at this map, this property is fairly close to a natural drainage draw, and there was no sign of contamination in that draw?
No, no. We've got monitoring wells all over this site, and we can draw the boundaries of the contamination. And in fact, groundwater goes the opposite direction. So it goes to the southeast. You can see I guess the draw is just north of the property. So the groundwater flows away.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Well, this is a public hearing, so at this time, if anybody would like to comment on this agenda item, they're welcome to come forward and comment. Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now move to item 3, open a public hearing.
Mayor, if we can have a motion for the actual ordinance now?
Okay. We do need a motion for the actual ordinance, so I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now, item 3, open a public hearing to consider the amending of Chapter 6, Health and Sanitation. Tassi.
Mayor, that was the public hearing that Ms. Kate
So
talked about. That was all
so we're
combination,
good.
same
All right.
information. Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Next, we'll move to ordinances. Consider amending Chapter 4, Business Regulations. Mr. Jones.
Good morning. Y'all doing okay this morning?
Yes.
Okay, let me put this in perspective for you. What we're wanting to do is to amend Chapter 4 Business Regulations. The City of Odessa can regulate secondhand goods. We can do that. But what we've been doing is we've been trying to regulate secondhand goods inside of pawn shops. And pawn shops are regulated by the state of Texas, and we just simply can't do that. So that's why we need to amend this ordinance so that basically we will still be able to regulate secondhand goods, but not within pawn shops, except pawn shops, which are regulated by the state of Texas.
Just a housekeeping item, basically.
Just basically a housekeeping item. Just, we need to make sure that we're legal.
Okay. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank
you,
y'all.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir.
Next, remove from the table and consider amending the City of Odessa City Code, Chapter 1. I will need a motion to remove from the table.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Now we will consider amending the City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 1, under general provisions. Monique?
Good morning, Mayor, Council. So back in April 2019, Council amended the zoning ordinance. Now, all of these, since then, the legal department has identified all these ordinances here that cite back to the old zoning ordinance. So we're asking you to amend these ordinances listed here so that they can reference the new zoning ordinance.
Just housekeeping.
Yes.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next under resolution, item 7 was actually taken care of under public hearings. So we will move to item 8, consider authorizing the conveyance of city interest in a tax delinquent property located at 301 Fitch. Ms. Brooks.
Mayor and City Council, this item is a request for the City Council to sell property for less than fair market value and also for less than the total amount of judgments against the property.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Brooks? I will entertain a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're going to table item 9 to explain this a little bit. We are looking at additional ways to bring money to the victims through national and through the state. So we are in the process of researching that, but we're not there yet. So I'm just going to entertain a motion to table this at this time.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is tabled. Ms. Grimaldo, do we have any appointments of board?
No, sir.
Okay. Item 11, citizen comments on non-agenda. Do we have any cards?
I have a card, but I don't see the gentleman in the audience. If Mr. Gerald Fugit is in the audience, could you please step forward?
I don't see Mr. Fugit.
No other cards.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We now stand adjourned.